Children of I want to talk to your manager, parents. What has been your most embarrassing experience? Welcome back to the internet, everybody. I know some of you have been missing the entitled parents stories, so we got a lot of them in this one. And they are pretty cringy, to say the least. So I guess we'll just get started with... I was 13 when this happened. My mom had made a reservation at a hotel for a trip. But when she got there, the lady said there was some error with the reservation, and that my mom's payment didn't go through. So the lady offered us a double bed room for a discount. Rather than just taking the room, thanking the lady, and leaving, my mom decided the best course of action would be to scream, in the middle of a hotel lobby, "Nobody's going anywhere till I get my freaking room!" She then proceeded to pester the lady, who clearly couldn't do anything about it, until eventually she called the police on my mom for public disturbance. Mortifying. Well, now we get to experience a lot of these entitled parent stories from another position. Turns out it's often just as painful for their kids as it is for the people they're fighting with. So not my parent, but grandparent. When I was around 10 years old, my grandmother went out and got us, her, my brother, and me, McDonald's. We got home and we didn't have any napkins in the bag. No big deal, right? We have paper towels and napkins in the house. Also, me and my brother are pretty good at not making any messes while we eat. Nope, grandmother got us in the car, drove back to McDonald's, demanded a manager, and screeched about how upset she was that we didn't get any napkins. I wanted to just melt into the floor and disappear. It's just napkins, Nanny. Man, I always think it's funny when the people that complain end up at a big loss because they complained. Like if you just stayed home and, used the napkins you had at home and not made a big scene, then you wouldn't have wasted all your time and gas money. When I was a young child on a long-distance flight, my mother let me and my brother sleep on the floor. For safety reasons, the flight attendants told my mother that we were not allowed to sleep on the floor. She started to argue with the flight attendants, who then turned to the pilots. The pilots threatened to turn this plane around unless we get up from the floor, but she continued to argue. The pilots announced that they were about to turn around because of my mother, so all the passengers got pissed. Eventually she caved in when she had all the passengers and flight crew on a Boeing 747 against her. Wow, pulling the "I will turn this thing around" card back on the entitled parent. So before Blue Village, Savers in the States I think, changed policies, she would cut the tags to get discounts, since the cashiers would basically make up whatever price they thought it would be, on the spot. If they highballed it, she would get a manager involved, and I hated that. I'm so glad that all of the thrift stores that I applied to years ago ignored my applications, because I don't think I would have lasted very long there. So I was with my parents on vacation, and the hotel put charges on the bill by accident. My mom marched to the front desk and demanded to see the manager. There was a long line, but she cut right in front of it. The manager wasn't very helpful, probably because she was rude. So my mom went to all the other customers in line and told them that the hotel was a scam, and they were ripping us off with fake charges. She made a scene, the hotel called the police, and we were escorted off the premises by actual cops. I died inside. See, that's when you just play the card of, "What? No, this isn't my mom. I have no idea who this lady is. Take her away." Ugh, my dad, he can be such a prick if you get his order wrong. It could be fast food or a nice sit-down restaurant. He often yells at waitstaff if they undercook his steak. It has to be well done or he claims to have lost his appetite. One time we went to Burger King when I was younger and we sat down to eat. He took one bite of his burger, spit it out, and immediately started complaining about it being undercooked. He cut in front of everyone in line to yell at the cashier. Then he asked who was the cook. When the cook appeared, he launched his burger, hitting the poor kid directly in the face with a lidless burger. He's now banned for life from Burger King. Okay, first of all, who wants their burgers overcooked? Medium rare is the only way to go. Secondly, how do lifetime bans actually work at places? Like, okay, if you have like one person in the whole city who's just a complete nuisance and everyone in the staff knows to not serve him, then okay, I guess I could see that. But even that's only gonna last maybe a year tops. Because the turnover rate at these places is so quick that you'll just show up and see a completely different staff next time. So my mom demanded to see a cafe's hygiene certificate when she saw an employee go from cutting cake in the kitchen to handling money at the till. Even though the real problem is going the other way. "Did you wash your hands before touching on my dirty money?" I worked at Best Buy. I stopped in with my mom one day because she wanted to buy me the Star Wars DVD box set for my birthday. I had a huge crush on the girl that was working the customer service counter. Well, the DVD set rang up $10 more than it was priced, and my mom deliberately didn't say anything until after the transaction, so she could claim the effing $5 Michigan Scan Law bounty. My crush didn't know how to process it, and the manager was busy, so my mom tore into her about how it was her job and how she should understand how to do things. At my job, to a girl I liked. My life was misery for a while afterwards. And no, I never got the courage up to ask her out, and she left the store afterwards. Come on, you had like the perfect icebreaker to go and talk to her and be like, Hey, you remember that psycho lady that, like, basically abused you at work? Hey, yeah, that was my mom. You want to come meet her again? So my mom asked me to call her a taxi via an app. She ended up calling me multiple times complaining about how the driver didn't use the route she thought was best. She never owned a car and doesn't know how to drive, even though the guy just used the best possible route the navigator suggested. She ended up getting out halfway and using the subway. The driver proceeded to call me in tears, completely shocked, unsure of what he did so wrong, and apologizing. I felt like total crap. I never called her a cab again. Man, that's kind of weird. Why would the taxi driver feel bad that they ran into a crappy customer? Scene. Any fast food drive-thru. Worker says, "Ma'am, can you please drive forward a little bit when your food finishes up?" Mom says, "No," and folds arms. When I was the manager at McDonald's, I had a guy do this. We had a freak rush on chicken nuggets, like 5 20 pieces in a row. The customer pulls up to the window, the cashier let him know it was going to be another 3 minutes for his McNuggets, and did he want to wait or get something else? He demanded to speak with the manager. He said that he's been waiting 5 minutes already, and that he isn't going to pay or move until his food is ready. I said that I needed him to pay and pull forward in order to clear the drive-thru. He refused and said they'll have to wait. I went to the back window, put a drawer in, and we started cashing and giving the food out there. 20 minutes later, the fuming customer at the front window begins pounding on the window. I open it and he screams at me to know where his food is. I told him he wasn't getting any food, he was blocking my drive-thru and impeding my business, and he needed to leave or I'd be calling the police. It looked like he would explode with anger, but he just screeched out of there. It was the most satisfying interaction with an entitled customer I had while working at McDonald's. Years later, I do slightly regret this. I worry I needlessly angered someone to the point where he could have taken it out on someone else. Yeah, well, unfortunately, these entitled people often don't just switch into being a good person once they leave the business that they are fighting with. Everyone around them has to put up with their terrible self every day. So not me, but my sister-in-law. Her stepdad and mom took the family out to eat at Red Lobster. They get there and it's super busy. So the stepdad walks up to the host and says, "Yes, we have a reservation." The problem is, Red Lobster, or at least that one, doesn't take reservations. The host explained this and said it's going to be 20-minute wait for seating. Her stepdad flipped out and started screaming that they had called 3 hours beforehand and had made a reservation. The host politely told him that this was not possible as they do not take reservations. Again. He continues to scream at the guy and says he wants to talk to her manager. So the manager comes out and tells him the same thing. They don't take reservations, so it's not possible that he had made one. He continues to cause a scene and people started leaving just to get away from this toxic guy. Finally, the manager says, "Fine, we will put you ahead of everyone else that has been patiently waiting their turn." He says, "Thank you," and they get seated. Once they get to the table and the waitress walks away, he slyly winks and says to my brother and the rest of the family, "That is how you get things done. I wasn't going to wait 20 minutes." My brother refused to eat or order for fear of getting food that had been spit on. I have zero tolerance for scummy people like this. I would have just walked right out of the restaurant if I were in that group. The grocery store had this sign up that said, if any item rang up higher than advertised price, it was free. It was the 80s, and stores did stupid crap like this that I never see in stores today. My mom was buying a box of Little Debbie cakes, and they rang up for $2.85 instead of the advertised $2.50. So now my mom wants her free cakes. The cashier doesn't know what to do. Summons a manager. Manager tells her to ring up the sales otherwise, and he'll be right back. Comes back and hands my mother 35 cents cheerfully and says, "There you go." My mother points out the sign behind him and says, "Oh, the last manager put that up. It doesn't make any sense. I'm the new manager, and I just haven't had the sign removed yet." It was a printed plastic sign that was screwed into the wall. My mom insists they honor their sign. He says nah. Now, up to this point, I, as an adult, looking back, am totally on board with my mom's actions. Mom gathers her things, decides against taking the Little Debbies on principle, and we get in the car. Mom wordlessly drives downtown to the main store of this 3 to 5 store chain, knowing the office is next door. We walk into this perfectly 80s wood-paneled office where my mother asks the secretary to speak to the owner of the store, and is permitted to do so since this is a family-owned business and their corporate office is smaller than the row of cubbies my staff occupy at work. Here my mother unleashes a tirade about how she has lost faith in this brand and how his word is meaningless since they will not honor the sign, etc. The guy stands up, profusely apologizes, validates her anger, and then pulls out his wallet and hands her a $5 bill, along with a promise that he will speak to the manager and the sign will either be honored or removed. We get home and find that the ice cream we bought had melted in the trunk because summer, and ruined the cereal and the bread. Man, you remember that video like 2 days ago I just made about stories of how signs ended up going up? Well, this is kind of the opposite. This is a story of how a sign ended up coming down. It's really no surprise that stores don't do promotional stuff like this anymore because it really only spawns people like this. So I might be late, but my dad once asked the guy at the Verizon wireless store to give him his own social security number because he asked for my dad's. My dad walked out afterwards with some stranger's social security number on a post-it. I was a silent bystander because I really wanted my first phone. What in the world are you gonna do with that? And why in the world would that guy give it to you? My father consistently returns food to grocery stores when he is unsatisfied with the quality. The worst is when he returns the 2-pound brick of cheddar cheese because they went moldy before they should have. Oh yeah, we'll just take that and restock it. Somebody else will buy it. About once a month, my dad gets drunk and calls various customer service centers demanding stuff. Once he finally gets off the phone, frequently 45 plus minutes later, he spends the next few days telling us all about how he slew the customer service dragon. And boy, people sure don't appreciate their customers nowadays, blah blah blah. No duh, Dad, you're being an a-hole. No one appreciates that. If you've worked for DirecTV customer service anytime since 1996, I apologize on behalf of my dad. Another story. I also remember one time McDonald's was having some kind of 2-for-1 breakfast sandwich deal going on where there was a total of about $3. He gets his breakfast, drives 25 minutes to work, realizes he's missing one of the sandwiches, and proceeds to call McDonald's customer support every evening after work for a week to complain about his wasted $1.50. They gave him apologies, they gave him coupons, but he just wanted to yell. I honestly didn't even know McDonald's had a customer service phone line. That's gotta be a fun job. Literally every call you get is people just complaining about their food, and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? Right, so my mom and me went shopping, and she dropped a melon on the way out. She then claimed it was bruised, and she demanded a full refund. When they refused, she shouted at customer service and demanded the manager. I just sat there with a kill me now expression on my face. After, one of the customer service employees gave me a chocolate bar, so 7-year-old me was happy. Man, these people just need to chill out. I can't even imagine. My mom was the kind of mom that would look at our receipts, realize they didn't charge us for the buns, and go back to customer service to have them ring it up. So I guess this is the anti-Karen then. Well, that's about as much of these stories as I can handle. People with bad tempers are like my #1 pet peeve, and I'm not afraid to call people out for it either. Doesn't matter who it might be, whether it's a parent, a friend, or one day if I have kids, or just some stranger. If I see somebody throwing a tantrum, I'll probably tell them to just chill out. But I guess that wraps up the end of this video. I might not be having a video tomorrow because I'm going to be shooting off fireworks tonight. So we'll see. Maybe I'll find some time to do it. But yep, that's the end of this one, so thanks for watching. Hey, do something so I can put it in my video. Just go back to sleep, I guess.